Hello and welcome to episode 37 of the Tigers, a podcast all about the National Ice Hockey League, but one that always has an eye on the Telford Tigers. Speaking of which, let's jump straight in with Telford Tigers and news from the camp. It's news concerning Tigers 2. Last week they won the Cup. This weekend they had a chance to win the league. To do so, they would need to take on and beat Sutton Sting again. Games at Saturday night at Telford Ice Rink, and it finished 6-2 to Tigers 2. So they have won the league to go with their cup triumph. So double. Fantastic news, great achievement by the team, and much as I said last week, anybody associated with the team, if they want to come on and talk through the season, very, very welcome to. Just drop me a message. Not only did they win on Saturday night, they then went to Coventry on Sunday night to take on the Blaze and ran out 3-2 winners there to complete a 4-point weekend. So absolutely wonderful couple of weekends there for Tigers too. Going to the National Ice Hockey League, there's been one departure. So Brennan Feasey has left the Bristol Pitbulls, and we've also had a couple of further re-signings for the 2024-2025 season. So news coming out from Peterborough is Callum Buglas has extended his contract with the Phantoms for a year. Whilst coming out of Swindon have announced there is a 1-year extension for Thomas Malazinski. So Phantoms be very happy with that. And Wildcats, I know their fans are absolutely delighted to secure the services of Malazinski for another year. Consistently puts up big numbers for them. So, going into the results, the action kicked off Friday evening as the Peterborough Phantoms hosted Milton Keynes Lightning. It was a win for the Lightning. They travelled to Peterborough and they came out 4-1 winners, so a nice comfortable win for them. Lightning was straight back in action as well on Saturday night when they hosted the Tigers, and Lightning recorded a 3-0 win, so a shutout there for Lightning on home ice. I mean, being honest, Tigers just never got going, really. Pretty comfortable throughout for the Lightning. They scored 2 in the first, another one in the second, and I mean, I almost kind of got the feel that both teams would have been happy to have called it a night after 2 periods, all done and dusted. But the third was played, and yeah, Tigers could have been out there for a few more periods. I still don't think would have scored. Just one of those nights. It's a bit strange. We seem to have nights against Milton Keynes every year where we just don't get going, and then other nights where we end up beating them. So yeah, just one of those. In terms of other games, Seahawks took on the Raiders, and the Seahawks notched up a big 10-4 victory on home ice. So a great result for the Seahawks, great result for the Tigers, because we're definitely thinking about playoffs and who's going to make those final 3 spots now. So that was a good result for the Tigers. Wildcats hosted the Bees, finished 5-5. Overtime couldn't separate them. It went to penalty shots, and the Bees won. So the Bees won 6-5 in Swindon. Great result for the Bees. Less good for the Tigers, as Tigers lost and the Bees win. Meant they clawed back 2 points to move themselves within 4 points of the Tigers. Sharks hosted the Knights, and the Knights won 5-2 up in Solway. So that was another good result for the Tigers. And then final game from Saturday evening, the Pitbulls hosted the Steel Dogs. 4-4 at the end of regulation, went to overtime, and in this game, overtime was enough to separate them. The Pitbulls getting the 5th goal to secure 2 points on home ice. Sunday, Tigers hosted the Steel Dogs. Tigers scored first, but that kind of didn't really tell the story. It was a pretty slow start, to be honest, from the Tigers. They looked okay for the first couple of minutes, and then, just didn't get moving. Steel Dogs had plenty of chances. They did score, but then there was a sort of 3-goal burst, 4-1 at the end of the first. Second period, where to start? I'm sure everybody's seen the video. Wilson colliding with the netminder, I think is what I will say. And then the altercation that followed, that's all. Both Wilson and Fielder ejected from the game, so we wait to see what Department of Player Safety comes out with there in terms of bans. But all done and dusted, settled, game was over. It finished Tigers 10, Steel Dogs 4. Got to give a shout out to man of the match, Finley Howes. He scored his 100th goal for the Tigers in having a night where he picked up 4+4. 4 goals, 4 assists. That's a pretty decent night to have, I would say, 4+4. So great stuff, Finn. Delighted, obviously, that you've reached 100 goals for the Tigers. Looking forward to seeing your next 100 and so on like that. But 4+4, what a night. Yeah, pretty unplayable. Other games from Sunday. Raiders hosted the Sharks and the Raiders won 7-3. I mean, this one was one where I was like, I don't know if there can be a good result for the Tigers. I guess this probably was as good a result as it could be because the Sharks are in 9th. And with the Tigers winning, that puts them 8 points away from the Tigers. So with 4 weekends to go, 8-point gap I think is pretty good, but it does keep the Raiders 4 points behind the Tigers. Bees played the Pitbulls, and the Bees run out 4-3 winners. So that keeps them 4 points behind the Tigers as well. I'd love for the Pitbulls to have got a 4-point weekend there. That would have been great, but not to be. Knights hosted the Wildcats. Now, a couple of weeks ago, Wildcats hosted the Knights, and it was a 1-0 victory, as narrow as you can get. Defence is definitely on top. Up at Leeds, no such danger of that. Leeds Knights 9, Swindon Wildcats 7. So evidently after the, really cagey affair down at Swindon a couple of weeks ago, both teams had thought, why bother with defence? Why bother with netminders? Let's just see what we could do. So yeah, plenty of goals in that one. Certainly a surprise scoreline is what I will say. Knights winning? Yeah, okay. Not surprised. I don't think anybody would be surprised by the Knights ever winning a game. But 9-7 is a pretty surprising scoreline, I would say. Speaking of sevens, Seahawks hit 7 on Sunday evening against the Phantoms. A 7-1 victory for Hull on the road. So a couple of big wins for them over the weekend, scoring 17, conceding 5. And Peterborough is very, very much a team that I think they're very, very likely to be playing in the playoffs. So a big, big result for them there. So the upcoming weekend. Let me get to the upcoming weekend and the fixtures. So we kick off Friday evening. Swindon Wildcats host the Leeds Knights. Who knows? I mean, these teams can play out a 1-0. They can play out a 9-7. Anything could happen. I'm going to go for the Knights to win it. Don't ask me for any kind of a scoreline. But yeah, Knights will win it. It is going to be settled in overtime, though. So that's what I'm going to go for there. Saturday night, game of the weekend. The biggest game, I would say, for this coming weekend, and by quite a distance. Tigers host the Raiders. This is a tough one to call. Raiders have definitely hit a bit of form recently. But I'm going to be positive. I'm going to say the Tigers are going to win it. Again, this could be a game where it goes to overtime. Maybe even penalty shots, something like that. But I'm going to go for the Tigers to run out winners from it. Lightning host the Bees. Lightning to win that one, which of course would be a really good result for the Tigers. Sharks host the Phantoms. I can see the Sharks winning that one. I'm going to go for a Sharks win there. Not a great result for the Tigers, but that's what I'm going to go for. I'm going to stick my neck out on that one. And yeah, Sharks are going to beat the Phantoms. Knights host the Seahawks. Seahawks had a really good weekend last weekend, but taking on the Knights is perhaps a slightly different proposition. Leads to win there on home ice. And last but not least, Wildcats host the Pitbulls. Everything says it's a Wildcats win. The Pitbulls are a bit of a bogey team, though, for the Wildcats. But the Wildcats are going to win that one. They are going to beat the Pitbulls. Maybe. Sunday, Steel Dogs take on the Tigers. Could be tasty after last night. Of course, recording on a Monday. Tigers to win. Tigers are going to win up in Sheffield. Bees host the Lightning. Lightning are going to win that one, which would be a good result. Raiders host the Pitbulls. Raiders will win that one. That's not a good result for the Tigers. Phantoms host the Sharks. I think Peterborough will win on home ice. So Phantoms win there on the Sunday, and that'll be a good result for the Tigers. And last but not least, Seahawks host the Knights. Seahawks going to pinch it on home ice. They're going to share it that weekend, I think. Yeah, I can see them doing that. So yeah, I'll go for the Seahawks win. So there's my predictions for the upcoming week. As always, get in contact, leave me a comment, let me know what you think about my predictions, what you think the scores will be, or of course anything else to do with the NIHL. I'll be back next week. Bye for now.